Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim Kelly, joined by Justin Godsey. This is the Real Sports Talk. Thank you guys for tuning in. A big development in the NL pennant race as Tim Hudson of the Atlanta Braves fractured his ankle tonight after it was stepped on by Mets outfielder Eric Young Jr. And he is now out for the season, which is a big loss. Even though Tim Hudson wasn't having a great season, he's one of the better pitchers of the last 10 years, and it is really a huge loss to a Braves team that's already missing both the Upton brothers, and while neither of the teams in the Nationals or the Phillies is really doing that well to try in an attempt to try and catch them in this division, it's still a huge loss because even if they do make the playoffs, it feels like a team that's not going to do much damage. Now let me explain exactly how this happened, because a lot of people are saying, wow, well, after watching this play, I can't believe this doesn't happen more in baseball. And they couldn't be more off, because people that actually played baseball, if you watch this play, and don't get me wrong, I feel bad for Tim Hudson. I like Tim Hudson as a pitcher a lot. But Tim Hudson, after Freddie Freeman bobbled the ball, Tim Hudson got the ball and had his foot on top of the first base bag, which belongs to the runner, and Eric Young Jr. of the Mets ran it over. You're not supposed to put your foot on top of the bag when you're a pitcher. You're supposed to put it on the outside half so they don't run off. You're supposed to catch it, make sure your foot's on the bag, and then get off so you're not run over and things like that don't happen. And it's something that you learn at a very young age if you're pitching, if you're playing first base. It's a play you constantly practice. So how this happened to Tim Hudson, really, I guess it just happened because because Freddie Freeman bobbled it, and they were in a rush to try and make a great play, but it ended up costing him, Justin.
Yeah, this is going to be a big blow for the Atlanta Braves, going to their playoff run and everything. There's no doubt that in my mind that this team is going to the playoffs. But you know what? The biggest crush now is that this whole rotation is in peril right now in my books, because when you look at it, Paul Mulholland, Brandon Beachy, and you're adding Tim Hudson to the inactive roster list or on the disabled list, this is really going to hurt this team, right now coming out of the gate from the All-Star break. They're going to end up calling up someone, Cody Rasmus, who is Cody Rasmus' brother, who's a pitcher in the Braves, farm system, a guy, who doesn't have a lot of pop, but I can see this guy, coming up to the major league level and, taking over somewhere in the rotation. Is he going to be, number one in the rotation now that Hudson is out for the year? No, it's going to turn it over to either Mike Minor, Julio Teheran, or Chris Medlin. One of those three guys is going to have to really carry a heavy workload from now until the playoffs. And even throughout the playoffs, it's really, neck and neck on who's going to be starting, or who's going to be the main guy to shine on in the playoffs. So right now, it's really going to screw the Atlanta Braves over for right now and going into the rest of the season. So this team is really in peril. This team also has, Jordan Schaefer, B.J. Upton, and the Upton brothers. Those guys, they're not as healthy as can be right now. So this team is really running low on depth right now. But you know what? The pitching is the more catch on eye right now than, the hitters. You have the outfield, Hayward, Upton. But then again, you got, the run support with Freeman. You got Dan Uggla there to still help you guys out. But this pitching staff really needs to figure something out and get a replacement for Tim Hudson and fast. There is still the trade market. They could probably land someone in the trade. Jake Peavy's available. There are a couple other pitchers on the market that you guys could possibly trade for. So this team really needs to act now and act quick if they're going to save their 2013 season.
Yeah, Matt Garza's off the trade market. He's a Texas Ranger. You brought up Jake Peavy's name. If he can stay healthy, that would be an okay solution. But this isn't Jake Peavy from the Padres, where you're getting a legitimate ace. I think if anyone's really going to step up, it's going to be Chris Medlin. We saw the huge second half he had last year. He pitched in the game that the Braves got screwed over in the playoffs last year in that one-game playoff against the St. Louis Cardinals. I think it was like 9-1 in the second half last year. Tremendous second half, and he was someone that I looked at as a breakout star this year and hasn't necessarily delivered. So if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Chris Medlin this year. But I don't know if he has that in him with what I've seen so far. Now, looking at the rest of this division, I don't see a team that's going to beat them. The Nationals are capable of doing it. They're 9 games out at 48-53. The Phillies, and I'm a Phillies fan. The Phillies are not even going to sniff the Braves. 8 games out. But like you mentioned, once they get to the playoffs, what are the Braves going to do? Not only pitching-wise, but this lineup, and the one thing that scared me early on, they got off to that huge start. The one thing that scared me is when you have a power-hitting team and it gets cold, you don't hit for power nearly as much, and I think that that's what the Braves have run into, or are going to run into in the playoffs. They've already ran into it in the summer. They've lost Justin Upton, whose bat went cold. B.J. Upton has been an absolute bust of a signing for them. Jason Hayward just got back, made that amazing catch a few nights ago. But for the most part, I think the Braves are going to be a team that they're in the NLDS, and that's probably as far as they go, because I look around all the other teams in the National League. The Cardinals look like one of the best, if not the best teams in the game right now. The Pirates have a stacked bullpen. Andrew McCutchen's starting to get a little hot. The Dodgers have had... since Yasiel Puig came up, the Dodgers have played really well, and the Diamondbacks are still in the hunt. And then I look at the Reds as the team that's probably going to win that second wild card, and the Reds are a really good team with Cueto and, who am I missing? Cueto and Latos at the top of that rotation. Then you got a stacked lineup with Brandon Phillips, Joey Votto. I don't think the Braves are a team with this loss that is going to do a ton of damage in the playoffs. But certainly, Justin, we feel bad for Tim Hudson. This was a big loss for the Braves this year, and we're going to have to wait and see how they do recover from this. But it is certainly a team that you would expect to try and do something at the trade deadline.
Yeah, there are a lot of players that's available on the trade deadline. Well, not a lot of players. You know, there are some big name not free agent pitchers, but there are players available pitching-wise, and also in their farm system. You can't give up on the farm system. You know, you're going into the second half of the season. You know, Corey Guerin, who plays down in the farm system, David Hale. You know, a couple of these guys, Aaron Norcraft, another one I forgot to mention out there. You know, these guys can really come in and they can really help out, but they're not going to help out a whole lot.
Yeah.
But you know what, Tim? You really got to look at guys like Chris Medlin, who's really, like you said, he was a breakout star for this year, has not really, you know, shined on me, but, you know, this is his time to really not really give him back in the race for becoming a breakout player, but you know what, it's better for him to really be, you know, okay, I really turned this team around. That's going to be his role now, but he cannot be the breakout player this year. They just really need Chris Medlin, Minor, Alex Wood, Julio Teheran to really just step up in the final and throughout the playoffs as well.
Teheran's a guy that's a top prospect, so they need him to kind of come along faster than they originally anticipated. Regardless, the Braves lose Tim Hudson for the remainder of the season with a fractured ankle. How do you guys think this impacts not only the NL East race, but the entire landscape of baseball moving forward? Let me know what you guys think. Let us know that in the comments below. Hit me up on Twitter at CashKelly_TRST, KASH Kelly_TRST. Hit Justin up at the Justin Godsey. Hit me up on section215.com, facebook.com/therealsportstalk. Justin, what's your pro football exclusive stuff now?
Okay, youtube.com/PFE Live. You know, I'm coming back into some football talk now, spending a lot more time in football, you know, scouting, interviews. We got NFL, CFL, college football, anything you name it, PFE Live, youtube.com/PFE Live. Make sure to go check it out, guys.
Yeah, make sure you do that. Help a brother out. We'll see you guys next time. Don't be scared, homie.